Hello, my fellow misfits. Good to see you again. Welcome to the cult. I'm Matt Owens. I was debating there whether or not to actually finish this whole podcast with a German accent, and I'm not going to do it, guys. Not going to do it. Yeah. There's a time I used to think that I was pretty good at doing accents, like a German accent or a British accent or whatever, and it turns out I'm pretty terrible at them. So that was a huge disappointment in my life. I've learned to move on, and you know what? We all have our own special gifts, and doing accents is clearly not one of mine, so that's all right. We're going to talk about discouragement in this episode. I've been feeling discouraged this week, and I want to talk about some things that I did to get out of the slump. I want to talk about the United Healthcare CEO getting offed recently and these villains that we perceive in our lives. I want to get a little juicy and talk about my own personal life and my relationship with my mom and my dad recently and some things that I've been going through with them and drawing boundaries in my life. And I'm sure they're going to enjoy that I'm talking about this publicly. I want to talk about freeing myself, which I often do, and freeing myself within so that I can manifest freedom without. I want to talk about a speaking career that I'm going to start pursuing, and I want to talk about my restless leg syndrome. Here we go. I was in a pretty dark place this week, if I'm being honest with you. I always try to be as transparent and open and vulnerable as I can. So I've been feeling a little discouraged this week. And in fact, I was going to record this episode while I was in the throes of the dark place, but I decided against it, thank the Lord, because that would have just been a giant pity party for 60 minutes. So glad I didn't succumb to that. But I've come through it. I'm on the other end of it, and I want to talk about it. I'm just getting discouraged about just all of the things, right? Oftentimes when we get into these discouragement loops, it's really easy to listen to that dang voice in our heads, right? The one that whispers to us, telling us that nothing is going right, that nobody loves us, that we're a worthless piece of shit, etc. I don't know if the voice in your head sounds similar to the voice in my head, but that's how my script usually goes. I've been really frustrated. I feel like I got a lot of haters in my life, mostly my mother and my father, which we'll get to in a minute. And the voice in my head, I call it the adversary. I call it Hal. It goes by various names, right? Just the devil whispering in my ear, telling me nothing's going right. Just getting discouraged about the podcast, that it's, not getting the amount of numbers and viewers that I think it should be getting, right? Like, according to what? According to who? According to the dang voice in my head, right? So I had to ask myself specifically about the podcast, like, what am I doing the podcast for, right? Am I doing the podcast because I feel like I'm meant to be doing it because I get great joy out of it and the number of people that listen to it is honestly irrelevant? And I was like, well, yeah, I guess that's right. Right? Like, that's why I'm doing this. I actually enjoy doing this. I get a lot of enjoyment out of it. It's a little therapy session for me in many ways. And if anybody else gets something out of it, that's just icing on the cake. So cheers to everybody who has been watching the podcast, who's sharing the podcast. Love you. But I was getting discouraged about that. So I just feel like I'm on the right path. I had to just be reminded that I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing and to just keep trudging along. The good Lord will often give me little nudges and reminders that I'm on the right path, whether it's through the angel numbers or, I listen to these podcasts all the time, and many of them, like Joe Rogan, say that, when they first started out, their numbers were terrible, right? Like, it took years and years and years to finally get to where they are. So I'm just trudging along here, get myself out of the dark place and reminding myself that it's a process, right? That it doesn't happen overnight. I've been kind of getting down on myself. Part of this discouragement was I don't have many people in my life that encourage me, right? I don't have many people that are like rooting me on, and I don't have many, well, I say many, I don't have any like real friends in real life. I feel like as I've been going through this transformation in my life, this metamorphosis, that the old me is has been shed and is constantly in the process of being shed, to be honest with you. But as a part of that shedding process, it's been shedding people in my life that no longer resonate with where I'm currently at, with my current frequency. And so many of my friends just sort of dropped away over the last several years as I've been transforming. And so I found myself looking around and I don't have many people around me. And so the universe reminded me that I do have people around me. And those are my lovely Instagram friends, right? And I was getting discouraged saying like, no, I want real friends in real life, like flesh and blood people that I can like hang out with and laugh with and like go to a movie with or whatever. But that's not where I'm meant to be right now, right? I'm meant to be in this period of solitude. And the friends that are in my life right now are the Instagram friends. And part of what often, because I go through these periods of darkness, as we all do, right? I go through these periods of discouragement. And oftentimes what gets me through them and pulls me out of them is gratitude, right? Which is just, when you're in the darkness, you don't want to hear that. It's like, fuck you, fuck everything, fuck everybody. I don't want to hear it. Well, gratitude. Oh, I'm so thankful for this fucking shit show that I'm in, right? You don't want to be saying that when you're in the middle of it. But the truth is, that's the secret sauce. That's what gets you out of it. So I started being thankful for things. I started being thankful for the people that are actually in my life, that are actually encouraging me. And those people happen to be my Instagram friends, right? They feel like pen pals often because like it's this back and forth, like I'll send them a message, then they'll send me a message. And it's like, oh, we're on the same wavelength, right? So I just wanted to give a shout out to my Instagram friends, to Kaylin and Nathan and Melina and all these people on Instagram that lift me up and build me up and encourage me and are there to talk when I'm in these dark periods and that actually enjoy talking about interdimensional beings and the pyramids and aliens and the spiritual journey and alchemy and all these fun things that I enjoy talking about. Because the truth is I could have nobody in my life that enjoys talking about these things, but the truth is I do have some people, and I want to be grateful for the people that are in my life that are out there encouraging me and lifting me up. So thank you to you guys that if you happen to be listening, love you. And I hope to actually meet you in real life someday. Because right now you're just a voice coming out of my phone. And it feels it's just this awkward time that we live in, right? Where my closest and best friends are people that I've never actually met in real life. But hopefully that'll change someday. So I'm thankful for the people in my life, my Instagram friends. Love you and shout out to you. So I that helped me get out of the doldrums, right? I sort of worked through it. Honestly, I was talking to Kaylin and she helped me out, so thankful for that encouragement. And I got back on the horse here. I was like, "What's the point of doing the podcast? What's the point of any of this? Life sucks." Wow, you know the routine, right? So here I am, back on the horse, doing another podcast, ditching my German accent. It's for the best, guys. Let's talk about this United Healthcare CEO that got offed recently. I find it interesting that so many people are cheering for his death, that are gleeful that this guy died because, like, boo, down with, all these big CEOs and billionaires and, big medical and big tech and big government and all these things, right? We have these villains in our lives, these bad guys that are really just a product of our own minds, right? We've decided that these guys are the bad guys and they're against us and we're the good guys and they're the bad guys and they are the enemies, they are the villains. And I talk about this frequently, but I feel like it needs to be talked about because I don't think that as a collective, this spiritual community that we are a part of doesn't fully understand that like we're all one, guys. Like we're all one. It's so easy to snap into this binary reality that we live in of them versus us, but that's just not the case, right? And when we take a minute to slow down and think about it, we realize that, like, of course, these are just my personal beliefs. I'm not saying it's fact, but I believe we're all one. I believe that we are God living through everything, living through its own creation, living through this human avatar. Therefore, all these human avatars that are interacting with me, whether it's the healthcare CEO or Bill Gates or George Soros or P. Diddy or Epstein or the Clintons or all of these people that are often perceived as the bad guys, they're all God as well, guys. They're all God as well. right? We are all one. And so to hate these people, to demonize these people, to cast these people as the villain is casting ourselves as the villain, right? Casting ourselves into the abyss, into hell, wishing evil upon them because they're the bad guys. I think we need to be reminded, as I need to often be reminded, that's why we're talking about it, that they're not the bad guys. Good and bad are a matter of perception, right? The bad guys don't think they're the bad guys. That this idea of villains and evil is largely an illusion. I believe that everything is an illusion. It's all in how you perceive it. It's all in how your mind perceives it. Right? There's no compassion, there's no love in calling these people evil, right? And hating these people and resenting these people and wishing bad things upon these people. There's no love and compassion in that, friends. In this community, I see so many times people rooting for the downfall of these people, right? Wanting them to go to jail, to be killed. Oh, they finally died. Yes, they got their just due. What a terrible attitude. If you believe in love, if you believe in compassion, if you believe in the message of Jesus Christ, Jesus talked about loving his enemies, guys. And I'm not here to wag my finger at you or condemn you for having these feelings or thoughts. That's fine. I'm really talking out loud for myself. I'm talking to myself. Like, what are you doing, dude? Why are you hating on these people? Right? What can I do to show these people love and compassion? As Jesus would, right? WWJD, guys. Jesus would love these people. Even back in the day when Jesus loved the so-called bad guys, the prostitutes, the tax collectors, etc., these people that society hated, demonized, Jesus was palling around with these guys, loving them, embracing them. And I think that a lot of us aren't doing that today. Oftentimes I'm not. It's so easy to get into that pattern of like these fucking elites, fucking deep state, fuck all of them, right? That's not loving, is it? That's not loving at all. I have a couple of villains in my life that I want to talk about. Like I mentioned before, my mom and my dad. I've been having some issues with them lately that I want to talk about. And I don't want to completely air my laundry here, my family issues, so I'll tread carefully as I talk about this. But I'm real allergic to people telling me what to do. Always have been. That hasn't changed at all. And the thing is I'm not opposed to people having opinions. I'm not opposed to people, having judgment towards me or my lifestyle. For those of you that aren't aware, I talk about it. I'm living out of my car right now. I've made a decision. I talk about it in other episodes. If you're interested, I won't dive into it here, but I'm living out of my car right now. And because of that, I've gotten a lot of judgment from people in my family. They don't understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's a spiritual journey. I'm following what God is telling me to do. I'm following my intuition. I believe it's part of my destiny. I think it's all predestined. I think it's all happening as it's meant to be happening. But because of that, I'm getting a lot of pushback from people in my family who are just confused and angry and very judgmental at the course that I've taken in my life. My dad is very fond of telling me that I'm on the wrong path, that I've completely fucked everything up, that I'm a bad father, that just on long list of judgments from dad. And same thing with my mom. She's a very religious woman and loves telling me that unless I believe the things that she believes, unless I accept Jesus Christ in my heart, that I'm doomed for eternal damnation, that I'm going to hell. And she is very fond of telling me that I'm on the wrong path, that I need to change my ways, that I need to get back with God, that I need to, as if she knows what's going on in my heart. And I have to explain to them politely at first. It starts out polite, guys, right? I give it a go. And I say politely, back the fuck off. That's polite, right? Um, it starts out polite because here's the deal. I'm not opposed to people telling me their belief systems, right? And saying that they disagree with me. That's fine. I love having debates. I love talking about whether it's politics or religion. Like, we can all have different views, guys. We don't all have to believe what I believe. I'm a huge proponent of everybody having their own beliefs. But when they start cramming it down my throat and telling me that I'm wrong and that they're right, okay, now we're starting to have a problem. But I'll go easy. But at some point, when it just is relentless, and these people in our families, typically our parents or people that they want the best for us, right? I understand where they're coming from. But to consistently and constantly tell me that I'm fucking my life up according to them, I don't want to hear it. Don't tell me what to do. This is my life. You live your life. If I'm staying within the very narrow scope of what they believe is the right path, quote unquote, then all is well. Then they root me on. Then they encourage me, as long as I'm doing whatever they think is the right way to live life. But anytime I stray outside of that very narrow scope, you're fucking up. You're fucking up. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're fucking everything up. So the thing is, I'm okay that people can have judgments towards me. The thing is, I just don't want to hear it. I just don't want to hear it. So if I want your advice, I'll come to you. But the truth is, I don't value their advice and I don't want to hear it. And so that's the conversation and that's the boundary that I'm talking about. And that's the line that I had to draw in the sand with both of my parents recently. They were both cramming their opinions down my throat. And I had to say, okay, cool, guys. I get where you're at. I understand you want the best for me. I understand as a parent that you're just trying to guide me and lead me, but I'm an adult. I'm going to tell you this politely once. And if I have to tell you again, it's not going to be polite, right? Then the fuck you start coming out. I'm going to tell you this once. I'm going to say it as strongly as I can. Keep your opinions and your beliefs about my life to yourself. I'm not interested in hearing your opinions whatsoever. And then when they cram them down my throat again, then the fangs come out and the fuck yous start coming out. And I say, back the fuck off. I've warned you again. I don't want to hear your opinions about my life whatsoever. Okay? And if they can't respect that a third time, it's a 3 strikes you're out type of a situation. And that's what recently happened. I said, look, I've told you several times I'm not interested in your opinion. I get you're judging me. I get you're not on board with my lifestyle and the path that I'm currently taking. I get it. But you seem to feel strongly enough about it that you can't keep your dang mouth shut. And so I don't want you in my life. I don't want you in my life. So if you want to continue doing this and continue condemning me and tearing me down every time we see each other, trying to convince me to get back onto the right path, trying to convince me to live life according to the way that you think I should, telling me that I should be following Jesus Christ in order to have eternal salvation, I don't want to hear it. So the ball's in your court. If you want to continue to push this, I'm blocking you from my life. Okay? It's not going to be permanent. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I feel so strongly about you telling me what to do that I have no qualms about blocking you from my life. And I've done this in the past before. They know that I'm not fucking around because I don't need it in my life. If I had somebody on social media who was constantly commenting on my videos, for example, or constantly DMing me and saying that I was a fucking loser, saying that all my messages are wrong, why are you doing this, your videos suck, etc., 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 I would block that person. Right? Why wouldn't you block that person? I don't need that in my life. I don't need people tearing me down. It's okay to have a different opinion. You can hate my videos. You can hate my voice. You can hate whatever you want about me. Just keep it to yourself. I'm not interested in hearing it. Thank you. So if I'm willing to do that for somebody on social media, I had to ask myself, why am I not willing to do that with people in my own life? And it's difficult because it's a family member. It's even more difficult because it's a parental family member, right? But I had to, life is short. And I can either have people constantly shitting on me, or I can have people building me up. And it's not like I need to live in positivity all the time. I know that's not what life is about. But life is hard enough as it is. And I don't need you constantly tearing me down. So I had to draw that hard boundary. And both of them insisted on pushing, and so they're currently blocked from my life, metaphorically. And it was not an easy decision. I had to really think about it, and it's not like I just reacted like, oh, I don't like what you're telling me, but I'm not ever talking to you again. It was a process. And I gave it a lot of thought, a lot of long walks in the woods, guys, a lot of long walks in the woods, a lot of meditation, a lot of talking to God, talking to the universe about like how I want to proceed with this. And I've decided that life is too short. I don't need people tearing me down. And I want people in my life that love me unconditionally. Right. And it's easy to say that they love me unconditionally, but it doesn't feel like that oftentimes. So um I had to let them know that I'm not beholden to them. I'm actually just beholden to God. That I report to God, and that's it. That I'm in constant communication with the big man, and the universe is constantly guiding me and leading me where I need to go. And if my parents or my family or anybody else in my life has a different opinion as to how that's unfolding, that's cool. It's cool to have your opinion. I don't want to hear about it. So I viewed them as villains in my life for a very long time, and honestly, I'm still working through that. If I'm being real here, working through my own judgment towards them, working through my own resentment and anger towards them, because I'm hurt, right? I feel hurt, and I feel abandoned, and I feel not loved. And so I'm sort of in this process of learning to accept their judgment of me, learning to accept that I can't change their opinion of me, learning to accept the way that things are, learning to love them as much as I can. And I was reminded of a Bible quote that was, forgive them for they know not what they do. Jesus, when he was being crucified on the cross, guys, for those of you listening to the podcast right now, you don't understand what the lighting is really fantastic on my face right now. So just happened to look over. Forgive them for they know not what they do. And that really resonated with me because they're just doing what they know, right? They're doing their best to be my parent. They're doing their best to love me in the only way that they know how. They can't see what it is that I'm working on. They don't understand what God is working through me. All they know is their own experiences, their own scope, their own filters that they're looking through and feeling through. And at the end of the day, like I've just said, whether it's George Soros or P. Diddy or Epstein or my mom or my dad, we are all one. And so it helps me to frame them in a more loving and compassionate light. They see their son going down a path that they think is scary. And so, of course, they're going to react this way. Of course they are. And so I try to put myself into their shoes and realize, okay, I get it. I get it. Yes, they're being judgmental. Yes, they're cramming it down my throat. But also, if I look at it from their perspective, they're just trying to save me. They're just trying to help me. They see me walking towards this perilous cliff, and they don't understand that once I jump off the cliff that I'm taken care of. They think I'm going to die. They think that something terrible is going to happen. But I have a different view on things. So it's about reframing these villains in our lives, these family members, these judgmental people, the haters in our life, and just learning to accept it for what it is, right? Not easy, not easy, but to love them despite it. Because having this bitterness in my heart, that sucks, guys. I lived with bitterness and anger and resentment in my heart for so many years, mostly towards my parents for various reasons, right? But um, that doesn't do anything. That just poisons me. That doesn't do anything for revenge. That revenge doesn't do anything. Trying to prove a point and wag my finger and get all that worked up about it does nothing at all besides it just hurts me. It just ends up hurting me more. So that's what I'm working through. Thank the Lord I didn't have to see any of them for Thanksgiving. There's a time when I dreaded the holidays, as I've talked about in previous videos that I've made. I used to just dread the holidays. It was all fake. I just had to put on a fake face. I usually smoked a ton of weed to just fucking get through it, or just drink a lot of alcohol to just fucking get through it. I just don't like the holidays just seem so fake to me. Like we have to go to grandma's house because that's just what you do. You don't, there's no other options. And if you don't, you're a piece of shit. Why aren't you going to grandma's house? And just all this pressure. And I've mostly freed myself from all of that. So this last Thanksgiving, I was by myself and I had a little lonely turkey dinner, and it was actually lovely. I had a great time. Um, so what am I looking at here, guys? Give me a second as I read your thing. So, um, speaking of being discouraged this week, with just all the stuff that's going on in my life that I could hyper focus on, all the bad things that are happening in my life. Um, I've been trying to learn to become my own power source. I've been learning to not rely on things on the external for my own happiness. For example, my parents' acceptance of me, right? Like that's probably never going to come. And the more that I long for it, it's just going to continue to cause more suffering within my own heart. And so, what I've been learning to do is to become my own power source and not rely on friends to lift me up or bring me up. Although I do love my Instagram friends who have lifted me up and brought me up in the past. So thank you. But what I'm learning to do is not rely on these things. It also goes to the topic of my addictions and these substances that I use. Like I would drink alcohol in order to be happy and get through a family function, or I would smoke weed in order to be creative or to sleep at night, or, I would drink coffee and get all jacked up on caffeine in order to have a personality and wake up in the morning. So I'm relying on all of these external things in order to, get through the day. And what the universe is showing me is that I already have all of that power within. Right. And as for those of you who don't know, I've recently quit smoking cigarettes back in the past. I've just stopped smoking weed. I've recently just stopped smoking alcohol. Boy, I wish that sounds great. Chugging alcohol. So I'm actually 5 months sober. So gold star for me. Um, but my next task is caffeine and sugar because I rely on these things, right? And so the universe is showing that I don't need these things at all in order to function and to survive and to be my true and authentic self, that ultimately they're just crutches. And so I'm playing this game of trying to embody my true and highest form of myself, right? I'm trying to take the highest path possible. And the highest path possible is not relying on these substances in order to survive the day. Um, it reminds me of like a battleship, like a nuclear battleship. They have like a nuclear reactor on board, and it sort of powers this, giant vessel floating through the ocean. And that's what I want to be. I want to be that nuclear battleship that is completely self-sustaining. That if everything around me completely fails, it doesn't matter because I am self-sustaining. I have this energy within me that is radiating outward. And so I often talk about freeing myself. I talk about this freedom that I'm constantly seeking and yearning. And what the universe has shown me is that in order for the freedom to manifest in my external, I talk about manifesting financial freedom, manifesting a lottery ticket, all of these things that I'm trying to manifest in my life. The universe said that in order to manifest those things on the external, I first have to manifest that freedom within. And so I thought, well, what does that mean? What does that mean to manifest freedom within myself? And this is what I'm talking about: is being free from these addictive cycles, being free from, chained to nicotine, chained to caffeine, chained to THC, chained to my parents' acceptance, chained to societal standards, right? And so once I start freeing myself from those within my own heart and mind, within my own system, and untangling all those knots that have built up over the years, those chain links that have just been getting thicker and thicker and thicker over time, I've been learning to break free from those. And as I break free from those and I hear those chains clinking to the ground, then that freedom starts to manifest in my external. Right. So that's the game I'm playing right now. That's the process that I'm going through right now is freeing myself from these addictive loops. Um, and then I can have ultimate freedom. Right. It's freaking hard, guys. Can I get an amen? It's freaking hard. Change is so hard. And most people aren't willing to change. And I oftentimes feel like I'm in my own little corner here playing a different game than everybody else is playing. But like, I'm in it to win it. I'm kind of all in on this thing. And so like, I feel like we've got this one lifetime. I don't want to, I'm done fucking around. Like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to wait until the next lifetime to deal with these things. Like, let's do this. What are we waiting for? Right? I want to encourage myself to like, I want to take the highest possible path that I can while I'm here in this physical realm. Like, let's do this thing. Let's get some, right? So I'm 5 months sober from alcohol and weed, and then the universe tells me to get rid of sugar and caffeine, and I'm kind of like, fuck you. I just worked so hard on something, and the universe is like, go, you can do this. You can do this. And so I have been. I've been off caffeine and I've been off sugar. If I'm being completely honest with you, I had coffee this morning and I felt like crap. So that was cool. But it's just a reminder that I don't need it. I don't need it. And so I'm constantly going through this refinement process. I'm constantly going through this fire. I'm constantly trying to challenge myself, right? So often it's so easy to get complacent. My whole life I was very complacent, right? Where I was just sort of living a humdrum life, going through the motions, just, showing up to grandma's house on Christmas, watching Netflix, just sort of going through life, paying taxes, doing the whole 9 to 5 thing. And finally I felt like I want to break away from this because I feel like I'm destined for more. And part of that is going within and getting to work, right? And getting to work on the internal stuff so that it can start manifesting in my external. So, maybe that's encouraging to you. Maybe it's not, but that's where I'm at. These are the things that I'm working through. I feel like I've been asking myself recently, I'm kind of at a crossroads. Part of my discouragement is, being in my car all the time. It's all the challenges that come along with that. And I've been kind of frustrated at that lately. And so I started asking myself, like, what do I want? What is this path that I'm heading towards? And the podcast and the Cult of Misfits is a component of that. But I've often talked about how I envision myself on stage talking in some sort of a public fashion, speaking in front of audiences and becoming a public speaker. And so I thought, okay, cool. How do I get there? What does that mean? If somebody came and offered you the opportunity to speak on stage in front of people, what would you talk about? And I thought like, oh, I don't know the answer to that. I don't have anything to talk about. I could wing it. I could talk for an hour about whatever I wanted, but like, I want to start crafting something to head in that direction. This is how manifestation works. This is how you set an intention towards something. And so that's what I'm doing. I've done it so many times that it's kind of just like, okay, I know how this thing goes. So I want to start heading towards public speaking. So what does that mean? I need to start coming up with like a set, right? Something to talk about for 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, 369. And so I feel led, after lots of contemplation, I feel led to start talking about my story. I knew that this point would come at some point where I'd start telling my story about the trials and tribulations of being in my car and what led to that and what has happened along the way. I've kept a detailed journal of everything that's happened the last several years of me being in my car, and I feel led to start talking about it. So that's my next little project that I'm working on, and I'm going to start telling my story, you guys, and putting it together in sort of one cohesive set, and stand-up comedian terms. The universe let me know that when the winds of change come, that my sail needs to be ready. And so that's what I'm doing is I'm building my sail, right? Build it and they will come, sort of a situation. So I'm building my sail so that when the winds of change come, I'll be ready to start moving. And so it's kind of exciting. So that's my next little project that I'm working on, and I don't know how it's going to manifest yet, but I'm thinking that as I sort of put it together in fits and starts and little chunks, that I'll start sharing it here on the podcast. I think would be a good idea. In the same way that when a stand-up comedian is putting together a 1 hour set, they sort of do it in little chunks, in little 5 or 10 minute bits. They try it out in front of an audience, see what works, see what doesn't work. And so I'm going to do something along those lines. And so I'll be sharing with you bits and pieces of my story as I sort of figure out what I want to talk about and not talk about, what works and doesn't work. So I definitely feel led to speak on a stage in front of people. So that's where this thing is headed. That's where my intentions are headed. I'm attempting to alter my frequency, as is so often talked about in the spiritual community, to change our frequency to match the frequency of that which we desire. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm changing the frequency within, whether that's, getting rid of these stimulants and drugs and alcohol from my life, and getting rid of these attachments that I have to being liked by people, liked by my parents. And as that frequency changes, I believe that what is meant for me will be attracted and come to me like a homing missile. So I'm very excited for that. So I'm in the process of changing my own frequency. I've been this whole no sugar thing is really killing me, guys. It's so freaking difficult. I'm in this pattern of for years I eat sugar after every meal, and so I'm trying to break myself free from that. Like I said, I like to challenge myself, so I'll do these little fasts. I just recently did a 2-day fast just to show myself I can do it. It's just like anything, like going to the gym. It sucks to do it, and then you start doing it a little bit more and a little bit more, and there's a period of time where you're going through the fire and it burns and it's not fun or exciting, and you just push through it and grind, and then it gets easier, right? It's like taking an ice bath where it's just like nothing in you wants to do it, but then once you do, you feel better. So I've been slowly weaning myself off the sugar, getting out of the habit of not eating sugar after every single meal, like Augustus Gloop. um, at night, I've been having trouble sleeping at night because I'm all jacked up on sugar. I straight up have restless leg syndrome. I always thought that was a joke when I would see an advertised medication to fix restless leg syndrome, right? But my legs are, flopping around like they're doing the fucking jitterbug in 1932 or something. Like I can't sleep at night, guys. My legs are like running a marathon while I'm trying to sleep. And I realize it's because I'm eating half a pan of brownies every night before bed. And obviously not an ideal decision there, guys, but it is what it is. So I'm realizing that maybe if I wasn't so jacked up on sugar at night, that my legs would be able to chill the F out, and I'd be able to get a couple of winks of sleep at night. So because of that, I'm up all night because of my frickin' jiggly legs. And then I wake up in the morning exhausted, and then chug a bunch of coffee, and then I get back on that frickin' loop again. So life's fun, guys, right? Cheers to everybody who's on this dang freaking journey with me, following my life, and cheers to you. Let me encourage you that, look, guys, for all the haters in your life, you're on the right path, okay? Don't listen to them. They don't know what they're talking about. You know what you're doing. Follow your intuition. Follow where God is guiding you and leading you. The cosmic river of life will always take us where we need to be. We need to trust and have faith that the journey is unfolding as it's meant to be unfolding. We need to remind ourselves that everything always works out. Sometimes it feels good to hear that, because oftentimes the enemy, the voice in our head, will tell us the opposite message. Don't listen to it. It's a lie. You got this. You got this. Thank you for listening. Thank you for following me. I appreciate everybody who's sharing the podcast and commenting and encouraging me. And if you're not already following me, wherever you happen to be listening to this dang podcast, I would appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button or follow, or whatever platform you're on. Do whatever's appropriate to support what the heck I'm doing here. Love you guys. Dum 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 dum